God has set us up specifically to be an aid to help you guys, our locals, and anyone else that needs help all around the world. We've had people come from different countries come here in our small little town to get help with their various health conditions. So we're going to dive right in. And how many of us realize that we have a problem here in America? We're not even talking about the political problems. That's a lot of problems in and of itself. We're not going to get into politics. But we are literally in a health crisis here in America. And there are so many laws that are put up, gun laws and various things of that nature, which are needed. But the biggest problem that we have in America is not gun violence, even though that is a problem. What is the top 10 cause of death in America? Does anyone know? It is heart disease. Every single year, heart disease kills 700,000 people just in America. We're talking death. We're not even talking about the people that are affected by heart disease. 700,000 people die every single year in America from heart disease. Does anyone know what's number 2 in America? Cancer is number 2. So these two diseases alone are taking almost 1.4 million lives every single year in America. That's 1.4 million deaths. Not including everyone that has them that are being affected. And when you go through the top 10 causes, you see strokes, chronic lower respiratory disease, Alzheimer's disease, diabetes, flu and pneumonia, nephritis, intentional self-harm, which is suicide. And what's significant is every single year, despite all the expenditures, which is $3.8 trillion that's spent in healthcare, $3.8 trillion is spent on healthcare every single year in America, but yet every single year disease is on the rise. I'll say something is wrong with that picture. What do you say? Now, there has been people in the past that has made significant dents in the health crisis that's in America. One notable person was a man by the name of John Harvey Kellogg. How many of us heard of John Harvey Kellogg? How many of us heard of Kellogg's cornflakes? So most people don't realize that the man that invented Kellogg's cornflakes, one of the founders of that company, he was actually a mastermind, a health physician, that people came from literally all around the world to come and see him to deal with their health issues. Now, some of the notable guests, and what he did, it was in a place called Battle Creek Sanitarium. He started a wellness retreat, similar to what Barbara O'Neill advocates, that takes people on and treat them naturally to get them off of drugs, get them off of medication, use simple lifestyle principles, the 8 laws of health, to restore their health. Now, he found such great results that the King Edward of England came all the way from England to Battle Creek to come and see Dr. Kellogg. William Taft, which was our 29th president. Thomas Edison. We've heard of Thomas Edison before? The fact that we have light bulbs in here shows that he plays significance in our day-to-day living today. So Thomas Edison, one of the most prolific inventors in the history of the world, he also came to Battle Creek Sanitarium to see Dr. Kellogg. Amelia Earhart, the first female pilot to fly across the Atlantic. Warren G. Harding, he's our 29th president. William Taft is our 27th president. They also came to the Battle Creek Sanitarium. Henry Ford, anybody heard of him? Ford Motor Company. He also went to see Dr. Kellogg because people are looking for something different. James Cash Penney, anybody heard of him? J.C. Penney. He also went to Dr. Kellogg to find out how he can address his health naturally. John Rockefeller, Harvey Firestone, and also Sojourner Truth. So these are some significant people that came to the Battle Creek Sanitarium because they were looking for something different. Now, when Thomas Edison left the Battle Creek Sanitarium, this is what he stated. He says, the doctor of the future will give little medicine. Now, he's basing it on his experience. He said, man, they were here. They gave me lots of water. They made sure I was resting. They made sure I got sunlight. They made sure I was eating proper nutrients. They made sure I was having trusted in God, not having the normal stresses of life. And I feel so much better. And he says, this is the way the doctor of the future will be. They'll give little medicine, but they'll interest their patients in the care of the human frame. And then he mentioned 3 things. What are the 3 things? Number 1 was what? Diet, and then the cause, and also the prevention of disease. Now, how many think that's what's taking place in America right now? I see the heads going in this direction, and that's exactly right. That is actually not what's taking place. In fact, a man by the name of Dr. Ray Strand, he wrote 3 books. One of them is called Healthy for Life. Another one is called What Your Doctor Doesn't Know About Nutritional Medicine May Be Killing You. And then another book that he wrote was called Death by Prescription. Death by Prescription. And notice what he wrote in the book Death by Prescription. Dr. Ray Strand states in his book Death by Prescription, in medical school, I had not received any significant instruction on the subject. The subject is nutrition. He said, I was not alone. Now listen to this. Only 6% of graduating physicians in the U.S. have any training whatsoever in nutrition. Now I want you to think about this. Most physicians are in school with residency and everything for about 12 years, and they take no nutrition class whatsoever. None. He said only 6%, and it was actually an elective course, not a requirement. Then it says medical students may take elective courses on the topic, but few actually do. The education of most physicians is disease-oriented with a heavy emphasis on pharmaceuticals. We learn about drugs and why and when to use them. Now, I was working with a guy in Alabama, I gave him a health consultation, and without exaggeration, he was on 30 medications. Now, you know what tends to happen if you're on 30 medications, right? There's contraindications. They start conflicting with one another. So he goes back and said, Doctor, ever since I started taking this drug, my skin starts to itch. What do you think the doctor does? Well, I have something for that as well. He started taking that. Well, doctor, I realized ever since I've done that, I'm starting getting headaches. What do you think the doctor does? Writes another prescription. So that's how it continues to compile. So he says, we didn't learn anything about nutrition whatsoever, about drugs and why and when to use them. So what has been the result? So the result is that we are on a vicious cycle of poor lifestyle practices, which leads to going to the physicians, which leads to go to the pharmaceutical. Now, what's interesting about this is the food industry, the fast food specifically, is a multi-billion-dollar industry. The medical industry is a multi-trillion-dollar industry. And of course, the pharmaceutical is also a multi-trillion-dollar industry. Now, how do they get their wealth? From people with poor health. So we're making them rich by not paying attention to our lifestyle practices, not paying attention to the things that we do and don't do with our bodies. And as a result, now we're put in this cycle, and what we need to do is we need to find some way to break the cycle. I like the way Shannon Bromley put it. She's a medical journalist. This is very, very significant if you listen to these words. She says, we have a disease care system, and we have a very profitable disease care system. And then it says, it doesn't want you to die, and it doesn't want you to get well. Now, did you guys catch that? It doesn't want you to die, and it doesn't want you to get well. Why is that? Because when you're dead, for them, that's not a financial gain, right? And when you're healthy, for them, that is not a financial gain. So it says it doesn't want you to die, and it doesn't want you to get well. It just wants you to keep coming back for the care of your chronic disease. So I say we need a different program. Unfortunately, most people don't realize that in America and all around the world, but I see it more prominently in America. There's a restaurant called Heart Attack Grill. Have you guys heard of it? And because of Heart Attack Grill and many other restaurants along those nature, I'm going to share some slides on it. We're in a very sad condition in America. Now, there's an acronym for SAD. SAD is the Standard American Diet, all right? And the Standard American Diet leads to the Standard American Disease, which leads to the Standard American Doctor, which leads to the Standard American Drugs, which leads to the Standard American Death. And that's why we have 2.4 million people every year with these various heart conditions and diabetes and strokes and liver diseases and kidney diseases that are compiling up death after death after death because we just don't know better. People are dying because they have never learned how to live. So the Standard American Diet leads to the Standard American Disease, which leads to the Standard American Doctor, which leads to the Standard American Drugs, which leads to the Standard American Death. And that's because people are still eating foods from places similar to Heart Attack Grill. Now, Heart Attack Grill, I say, is an exaggerated reality of where we are. Now, let's find out a little bit about Heart Attack Grill. Number one, If you're over 350 pounds, you eat for free. You guys catch that? If you're over 350 pounds, you eat for free. Now, what's on their menu? Oh, by the way, they know how morbid their model is. So they say, cash only because you might die before you check out. They say, send your hate mail here. And there's a whole establishment of morbid things that they do in there. Now, let's see what's on the menu. Number one, they have a single bypass burger. So if you really want to die, you buy a single bypass burger. Now, if you really, really want to die, you buy a double bypass burger. And if you really, really, really want to die, you get a quadruple bypass burger. You can add flatliner fries. You can have butterfat shake. You can have, cigarettes unfiltered. Deep fried and pure lard is their flatliner fries. And they know that they're selling people death. In fact, John Basso, the owner, notice what he says. He says, the Vegas-based Heart Attack Grill makes no bones about the dangerous offers posed to customers. The restaurant's name warns diners what to expect if they eat what's on the menu. And the grill's 10,000-calorie quadruple bypass burger conveys a similar ominous message. Now the establishment owner has taken its campaign to prove his food's lethality to the next level by displaying a dead customer's cremated remains on live television. Now, how did they die? We're going to find out. So now, he went on a show. On Thursday, John Basso, Heart Attack Grill well-spoken founder, appeared on Bloomberg in the Loop with Betty Lou to discuss the restaurant's deadly fear. Now, I want you to listen to these words. He says, I am probably the only restaurateur in the entire world who is unapologetically telling you that my food is bad for you, that it will kill you, and that you should stay away from it. Now, what do you think people are doing? Now, they're flocked. They run into the restaurant. They say, I have to taste this food that he said is bad for me, that's going to kill me, and that I should stay away from it. Now, of course, we know he's using some reverse psychology. Now, he did start off as a health advocate. He started a chain of Jenny Craig gyms. And he said, you know what? I tried to make a profit from selling health. No one signed up. My business closed. So if people don't want to buy health, I'm going to sell death. And he did. And now he's a multimillionaire, right? So he said, you stay away from it. Now, notice what happens next. He then revealed a clear plastic bag filled with a powder-like substance. He says, I'm here with the cremated remains of someone who died at my restaurant. He died of a heart attack at my restaurant. And I'm putting it back clearly on the table. And then he says, I wish that Burger King, McDonald's, and everyone else would do the same thing. Now, they had a spokesperson for the restaurant, which was over 350 pounds. In fact, he was about 570 pounds. What does that mean? That means he eats for free. So every day he'll go there, he'll chomp down a quadruple bypass burger. And one day, unfortunately, while he was there, as he was eating that burger, he had a heart attack and he died at the restaurant. And he's one of 3 people that have actually died at the Heart Attack Grill. One of 3 people. What's significant about this is that physicians are actually telling us that these diseases that are plaguing America, they are actually preventable. They're actually preventable. And one such doctor is a man by the name of Dean Ornish, who was also Bill Clinton's doctor. And after Bill Clinton had his second quadruple bypass surgery, he said, you know what? I need to try something different. He did some research, and what Bill Clinton found out is that if I change my lifestyle, he found out that 86% of people who tried essentially a plant-based diet, he said, I've seen their arterial blockage begin to break up. He said, I saw that their arteries that were clogged also unclogged. And he says, I want to be one of those people. So through Dr. Dean Ornish and T. Colin Campbell and many other physicians, Bill Clinton makes some significant changes, and now he's slim, he's trim, and he's in great health. He's in great shape if you've seen him lately. So this is what Dr. Dean Ornish said. He said, think about it. Heart disease and diabetes, which account for more death in the U.S. and worldwide than everything else combined, are completely preventable by making what? Comprehensive lifestyle changes without drugs and without surgery. Now, you notice he said heart disease and diabetes. And he didn't mention cancer. And the reason why is diabetes is an auxiliary disease, number 1 cause of blindness, number 1 cause of amputation, number 1 cause of kidney failure. So there's so many other diseases that are linked to diabetes. And he knows that. That's why he said heart disease and diabetes. Now, based on our current medical system, the mind of so many people have been programmed that, and I put it up here, I'm in great health. I take my medications every day, and my diabetes and my high blood pressure are under control. I'm monitoring it very well. I'm doing very well in my current condition. May I propose to you that we should not be content with monitoring and, addressing our medical issues. We should be trying to get rid of the medical issues, right? And the doctor was saying that if we make comprehensive lifestyle changes, we could actually reverse these conditions. The problem is if we're just content with taking our lisinopril because of our hypertension, most people don't realize all the side effects that comes with it. Just lisinopril, cough, dizziness, headache, nausea, diarrhea, sneezing, runny nose, rash, breathing problems, infection, yellow skin, lightheadedness, faintness, chest pains. So by being content with not making changes and just saying, I'm going to continue to monitor my disease. We don't want to monitor the disease. Let's take the necessary steps to rid ourselves of the disease. So God's plan is to educate. Man's plan is just to medicate. Dr. Esselstyn says, people don't dislike change, they dislike being changed. And that sounds about right. We're always open to someone else changing. When it comes to us making those changes, ensure that we're taking those steps every day, to getting that sunlight every day, to drinking that water every day, to change some of the things that we might have thought was healthy, we have a tough time. I did. And Hippocrates once said, if someone wishes for good health, one must first ask oneself if he's ready to do away with the reasons for his illness. And then it says, only then is it possible to help him. And as I close, and I'm going to introduce Chris, which is our wellness director. Does anyone know the definition of insanity? That's exactly right. Albert Einstein says, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. And for me, my parents and my whole lineage, they say, heart disease runs in the family. And what I noticed is that my great-great-grandfather had a high-fat, high-cholesterol diet. My grandfather had a high-fat, high-cholesterol diet. My father had a high-fat, high-cholesterol diet. Fortunately, I was able to make some changes. And then they'll say, well, the disease runs in the family. And, I grew up in Jamaica my first few years, and we ate, curry chicken and oxtail and many other high-fat, high-cholesterol foods. And then I began to realize it's not the heart disease that's running the family. It's the high-fat, high-cholesterol diet that runs in the family. And that was actually the cause of the diseases. So we admonish you to make some changes. And one of the reasons why I believe that God has placed us here, and this is our wellness program, we have a wellness retreat here, that we actually take care of people. We have a 7, 10, 14, and 21-day program that's specifically geared towards addressing these lifestyle diseases. And this is our area view of our facility. And Chris Pfeiffer, who's our wellness director, will come up and share with you all the things that we do there and the different ways in which we address the various conditions that people might have. I'll turn it over to Chris.
Thank you, Narlin. So, like we said before, first 40 years we spend our health to gain what? Wealth. And then the second 40 years we spend our our wealth to try to regain the health that we lost in the first 40. Now, we want to teach you how you can maintain and prosper and flourish on both health and wealth throughout your life. And this is the secret and the plan. I tell you, I did not grow up with this experience of information and education. And that's why man's plan is to medicate, God's plan is to educate. So as we come to understand the principles to come in harmony with how we originally designed, well, guess what? Things start functioning and operating better, don't they? Like something simple, like how much water do you drink? Okay? As you go and grab your water bottles to take a swig. Friendly reminders to remind us how much water we need to to partake of each day? How much exercise do you get? How active are you? Do you get outside to get the fresh air and the sunshine on a daily basis? What about your stress level? Medical world says 80% of all disease is stress-related. Now, I know there's no one here that doesn't have any stress on some level, but some of you may have stress on a whole nother level. And maybe it's been long-term, chronic, in a lot of different situations that life has thrown at you. It's not how you escape stress, it's how you learn to deal with it in a healthier way. And some of the choices you make actually can help to reduce your stress by avoiding the things that actually will make things worse. Education is the principle. I read in a book called Mind, Character, and Personality, it says 9/10 of disease, its foundations laid in the mind. 9/10 of disease. That means 90% of our disease conditions starts from right here, from what we've been thinking. And so when we go through our program, we find that a lot of us grew up with, forgive the expression, some stinking thinking. Some wrong ways of how we've interpreted and viewed things and viewed ourselves in light of how our Creator views and understands us. And as a result, we end up processing these things often as lies, but we believe them, and they have a physiological effect upon our health. So anxiety, fear, worry, anger, resentment, bitterness, all these things that quite often we don't want to talk about because they're too emotionally draining on us are the real things that are sapping our mental capacity, our emotional energy, which is just being drained day by day. And as a result, the physical effect it has upon your heart, upon your liver, upon your kidneys, upon other organs in your body, even your digestive system of your colon, it actually stops, locks up, or becomes hindered in its function. And we say, all through life, we start accumulating these habits of life, of the way that we've been taught how to eat and how to drink and how to live and how we relate to others and people and how you deal with your stress, or sometimes we have numbing behaviors to not deal with the stress and just kind of avoid it. But does it ever go away? Or does it just kind of come back at different times in our minds, but we never deal with the root of the cause? Are you hearing me? This is why we want to learn how to deal with the root of the cause that quite often we don't talk about. The issues in our life of why when I'm stressed out, I go to food as a comfort. So I'm trying to lose weight, and I'm trying to do this, and I'm trying to do that with all good intentions, and may have a lot of information in my head of what I know I should be doing, but it's the stress and the emotional baggage that is wearing me out. Does that sound familiar to anybody here? Yeah. All right. So these are the things that drain the life forces and invite decay and death. So yes, I may be intellectually convicted that, you know what, I shouldn't be drinking this any longer. I shouldn't be eating this. I know it's not good for me. How many times do we even say that? So is it, oftentimes I find it's not always that we lack information. We lack an understanding to help us to deal with the root of our causes. The emotional stresses, the stress that we don't know how and to process differently. And so as we talked about this morning a little, when you deal with the physical issues, you're dealing also with the whole person. So what has brought on the physical issues? It's not just what we've been eating and drinking, but often the way we've been processing and thinking, or trying to avoid thinking and addressing things in a healthy, accurate, truthful way. We're told that the truth is what sets us free from the lies that we've been believing. You're not good enough, never going to change, can't do this. All these negative self-thinking that we think that defeats our even motivation to move forward in life. And so this is what we want to deal with, is the root of the cause. And so when we deal with our wellness retreat, as you saw the beautiful scenery that God has provided here in Kentucky, There's also a cave at the very back of the end of the beautiful place that God has provided, that those of you that come on Sunday, if you'd like to come and go for a little hike to the back to that beautiful cave, I want to take you on a journey and an experience to deal with why we exist as a wellness center and a wellness retreat. We find that people need to be educated how to deal and think and function differently in life. And we see that the wellness center gives us an opportunity for them to come, and the whole schedule and outline is to teach them how to drink more water and what that looks like, how to get exercise and fresh air and sunshine each day. We combine this with allowing the body to get what it needs, and it needs a good cleanse and detox to reboot and reset. So the first 3 to 5 days of the program is a cleanse detox. We do fresh vegetable juice formulas customized to your needs. We have herbal tea formulas specific to your conditions. A few supplements to complement. Hydrotherapy, massage, and a lot of natural therapies that address your specific conditions. Everything is customized to your need of why you're looking to get healing. Quite often the list is physical, but oftentimes people come to us with the mental. They already recognize the anxiety, the fears, the depression, and they're looking how they can handle it in a different, healthier way. Okay? I would say over the past 25 plus years that my wife and I have been in this work, probably 50% of the people that we've worked with have been cancer of some type or another. Okay? Is there an answer to cancer? Yes, there is. What about heart disease? Yes. And as Narlin was bringing out some of the preventable aspects, that's what we teach, is the same principles that prevent. When you put those same principles in cooperation with you, in coming in harmony, it restores and brings health also. So it's not just for prevention, it's also for restoration. So I want to take a look at some of these principles, and I want you to hear this testimony of a family that is local in our area. They were famous for horses at one time. And some of you, if any of you here are local, might know these precious folks.
My husband would tell me that he had met some of the staff in Red River. He had kind of been looking into this wellness center because he realized we both needed it. Because he had the back trouble, and he had the 4 kinds of cancer, and he'd had all kinds of surgeries and so forth. And he said, let's go up to the wellness center. And I said, oh, I can't go for 10 days. You know, I can't be gone that long, and I don't know about that. Well, you know, he'd go and study some more, and he'd study some more, and he'd come back and say, let's go. And we would like to take our son and our nephew. If you don't like your body and you don't feel good and you don't get around very well, you know, you want to change. So I said, okay, we'll try it.
I never thought that actually I could ever learn to eat the food that they prepare. I never realized how good it could taste until after I got here and started eating it, and it got better every day. And physical therapy they did on me has really helped me. Also, we had devotions twice a day, open discussions. I've learned a whole lot more.
So coming up here, it has just changed our life. I haven't taken any medication since I've been up here. My blood pressure is going down. It still every once in a while wants to jump up, but I think it's just me and my hypertension that I do sometimes. And so it's been wonderful. It just changed our life completely. I can walk now better. With their massages and the wellness and the food and changing our eating habits, it's just been great. Am I going to be changing my lifestyle, most definitely, because you don't realize that your body is made of what you eat. So therefore, we've changed our eating habits, and I didn't think that, that I could possibly change and do some of the changing that we've had to do, but you decide which one's best to look, and we have learned so much since we've been here and grown closer to the Lord. We thought we were close to begin with, but man, when you get up every day, it's exciting. It's exciting to be close to the Lord and feel His presence, and that's what they work with besides your body.
I think we need more places like this in the world. I think it's wonderful because I tell my wife this is a missionary event here, that people come here, volunteer, a lot of them, and they come here to help the people in this county. We're a poor county, and we got the highest cancer rate in the state, and it's a beautiful place, and seems like they got all the ingredients to help you in your health and teach you how to eat right, and learn more about God, and we just love it.
Well, we most definitely need more places like this. And I never ever thought that we, the 4 or 5 of us, my daughter-in-law's here too, and we all got together and decided we'd go. HG wouldn't let us rest until we did. So we all decided to come up here together to kind of give each other moral support to see what we were getting into. And so they're eating things they didn't even think about ever eating, but they are so interested in getting their body back in shape, and all the aches and the pains that my son especially has, that they're willing to give a little bit and not eat the things that's not as chemicals and the sugars and the things that's not good for you. They've decided that it would help their bodies, which it has. They're both just really, they just love it because they can see the difference, especially our son, that can, just feel better, and his body's looking better, and it's just it's great. And I wish we had, I would hope that we could get, more places like this.
That gives you an idea a little about our wellness retreat and what we have to offer. So this beautiful family still in the surrounding area, and we're thankful for the experience that God granted them. What's a blessing here is the simple impact of education to principles of health, and the application individually brings the fruits and the results of health, of mind, body, and soul. And so I'd like to share with you a few points of personal experiences of other health guests that have come and experienced through our health center. Drew, who was just with us, and his wife visiting over the weekend, he's going to share his testimony, and then I'll tell you the bonus experience about his wife here in just a moment.
That brought me here was sleep. I've been struggling with sleep, and as an architect, I need to perform, I need to be on my game all the time, every day. And that brought me here, and honestly, day 2 was good, day 3 was great, and since then, every day, my sleep has gotten better and better. And the last 2 nights have been some of the best nights I've had in years. My experience here at Red River Wellness has been nothing short of profound and honestly mind-blowing. And of course, in the business world, being on the top of my game at all times, interacting with engineers, consultants, clients, having meetings on a day-to-day basis. I do art, I do physics, I do math, I do project management, I do land planning for years in advance. And being able to have sharpness and acuity of mind is paramount to what I do. And this has really cleared up my mind in a way that I didn't think was possible. I would definitely recommend Red River to anyone. Honestly, it doesn't matter what it is you're looking to elevate in your life, whether it's to have better sleep, which is what brought me here, to have sharper mind. Maybe you went through COVID and you had long COVID symptoms and you have some brain fog. Maybe you want some more energy. Maybe you just want to feel better overall. Or maybe you're struggling with a disease and you need some natural help, something that you're not getting from your physicians. This place can handle anything, no matter what it is. I have full confidence that they can take care of whatever it is you bring.
So like I said, he and his wife just visited this last weekend. His wife came last year, about 8 months ago. It was a little more than that. Probably about 9 months ago. They were looking to have another child. And they were having infertility issues. And so she came and went through a cleanse for 1 week. Well, she just shared yesterday or Sunday, her testimony will be out on YouTube on our webpage soon. She is actually due in the middle of May with 2 twin girls. And so, did it work? They will tell you absolutely. But she says what is more impactful is her pregnancy this time is she is so healthy. In the first pregnancy with their little boy, she was on high blood pressure meds and a few other medications for other disease conditions. And now she has none of those disease conditions. Her heart rate, her blood pressure, her blood glucose, everything is perfect. And she is very, very healthy and very, very pregnant. And both the mother looks very vibrant, and she says, this has been the smoothest pregnancy compared to the previous. I can't even imagine the difference to how to describe it accurately. And so I just want to share with you that they are so happy, and it worked. She just needed a good cleanse and detox and to bring her body back in harmony with the laws that we've been given to live by. Alfred, he came a couple weeks after having a heart attack. And he was definitely affected by the heart attack. He could hardly move from the entrance of the door to where I'm standing the first day when he came. And 3 weeks later when he left, he actually, little by little, in several breaks and stops, went all the way up to the top, to the back of the property, to the cave, and back as a memorial that I am not the same person of which I came. And his heart has been renewed. And he's continued, been persevering and active. And he and his wife came later as a health guest. They are actually looking from the state, from where they were, how they can implement and do something for the people and implement and educate the people where they're at now. Beautiful experience. Alyssa, like I shared with you, her infertility is now with the two twin girls due in a couple months. Linda came with anxiety and depression, and today she is with mental clarity and energy. She came with a whole lot of baggage and a lot of PTSD, as she even described it. And she was able to find healing through the past so that the past isn't constantly keeping her in a position of, if you want to say, mental paralysis, to where she feels stuck and like can't move forward in life. She is actually flourishing and taking on new thoughts of making new career changes now, which means for those of you who've been in your careers for many years, at her age, to try to think of something different, she says, it's time. And I have the confidence now that I can move forward, that I'm going to be able to, it's okay to embrace something different and embrace change. And I think a lot of us get so stuck and fearful of change, so we hold on to what is convenient oftentimes and what is comfortable and what we're familiar with, even though it may be the very means of what's destroying us. And so we need to learn to deal with the baggage of the past and find the healing so that we can move forward and live in the present. Clear up that headspace to focus in the here and now. There was a gentleman that came with prostate cancer. A gentleman I worked with several years ago. He ended up with a PSA number of 700, and anything above 4 is considered cancerous. And he ended up with 700. He was given chemotherapy, dropped it down to 332, went through the program. A few months later, got his new PSA results, and it was 1.85. And he continued to be faithful with the program and the changes and the lifestyle. And the doctors took a look at all the things he had been doing and had been written down, and they said, it must have been the chemotherapy, and walked off. Now, you and I know that's just a bold-faced lie. It's hard for medical professionals to embrace oftentimes that they are not the healers, that there is a creator and designer, and when we come in harmony with his laws, that's what brings healing to our body. And so education is power. The other aspect, Lonnie came with arthritis and inflammation, and after going through the cleanse, he is pain-free today and thriving in his landscape business. Kay came with severe and chronic digestive issues. Today, she is pain-free as well and has very few occasional hiccups in the stomach area, but she knows what she needs to do to correct them and has found in a simpler way to remedy it naturally. Vanita came with eczema, and today she is 90 to 95% clear and her skin healed as she continues to finish out that last portion and being in her faithfulness. Paula, Hashimoto's disease. Today she has renewed energy and her hormonal balance has been stable and leveled. We find William, he came just for a general cleanse, an older gentleman in his 70s. He says, but what I left with was whole, so much more. Freddie, she came 2 weeks after a mini stroke, slurred speech, paralysis in the face, a slow gait, and dragging one leg. Could hardly walk from the car to the room, to the living room. 3 weeks, actually, no, she was 2 weeks. 2 weeks later, we give everybody a pedometer. She was doing over 10,000 steps. The last day she left, it was 13,000 steps that she had done. No more slurred speech, no more slow gait. In fact, I say, hey, wait a second, remember there's others walking with you. You can slow down for a moment. She's like, no, I'm on my renewed pace. And she and her husband have a ministry that they have been busy. And sometimes you can be busy even in good things, but it wears out your life forces. And so that's where the principles has been talked about, sustain me, the same principles and laws. When you apply them day by day, she's finding she has renewed energy and she can maintain, keep up, and guess what? Her heart is in great condition today by God's grace. We also find that Gail, unfortunately, I don't know if you know, but she had breast cancer several years ago, 16 years ago. She received chemotherapy, but unfortunately, chemo is no respecter of cells. It kills good and bad. And 3 of the main organs that are affected by chemotherapy in a later stage, it manifests itself as the heart, the liver, and the kidneys. So quite often, within 5 or later years, it was 16 years later that her heart was failing because the effect of the damage of the chemotherapy upon the heart. Well, it had caused her so much heart failure that she ended up coming to us earlier this year. And today, she came and joined us last night, and she is doing wonderful in the heart function, high percentage. Finally, I want to close with a gentleman by the name of Daryl. Daryl came with cervical herniated discs for over 10 years. He had surgery at one time 10 years ago. He was looking to have another surgery because it was pinching a nerve with such severe chronic pain. As a contractor, he could not even function properly anymore. And so they came out of an emergency situation, and by God's grace, he is back to working, but he realizes he needs to change his lifestyle habits. One of the major things is water, hydration. We as men and also women, we can be busy being busy, but not taking care of the body. And he needed to hydrate himself. So we worked with some other therapies of far infrared therapy and hydrotherapy of local fomentations, massage therapy to start working and loosening the muscles that have been pulling and so tight. Well, guess what? Little by little, it released the tension, the hydration. He was able to get flushed of all the toxins and the lactic acid buildup. Today, he is actually thriving. And actually, within a very short time, a week, he was able to go back to actually do many of his normal duties, although we told him on limitation. And sometimes we push ourselves because we don't think there's anybody else to help us. Well, what happens when you're no longer around or you can't function? Then what? So it's better to be proactive in taking care of your body and doing it now so you can function at your highest capacity and that you can have the greatest energy and functionality day by day. So how many of you are looking to get out of the funk and the fatigue and to get restored fully and entirely? Well, I'm going to invite Narlin to come up and share with us the closing points. And I just want to thank you for this divine opportunity. There are a couple more testimonies, and we may share at a later date.
Thank you, Chris. So if you want to find out more about our ministry and our organization, the website is redriverwellness.org, or you can scan the QR code. It will take you directly to the link. And to navigate this website, it has these buttons here, and this way you get all the information, our programs, our health sessions, what to expect, pictures of our facilities, and all the information that you need for that. So that's redriverwellness.org. I'll give you a moment to go ahead and capture that. All right. And then we also have brochures in the back with that information as well. Now, Red River Wellness is under an umbrella organization called Red River Outpost, and some will be touring the facility at some point this week. There we have a farm that we're trying to get to the point where everything that we're eating, or most of the things that we're eating, that comes directly from our farm. We also want to start up a missionary training school to train more people along these lines of having health awareness. So that's the QR code for that. And for the Red River Outpost website, if you want to join our newsletter, you can fill in your information when you go to Red River Outpost /news, and there's a QR code for that as well. And that will keep you abreast as to all the things that are happening, events that might be taking place, such as this. This is the QR code that you want to scan. And every week we also put an update to the things that are happening on our campus directly. And the website has been updated, so if you also just go to the website, there's a link up here that says news, and that's what will take you to this page. And the last thing I'd like to bring to your attention is upcoming events that we have at the organization. So we're here now with Barbara O'Neill. And then in a few weeks, we're going to have a survival training. That's more like wilderness training. You'll be outside, staying in tents, and just learning how to survive without the modern conveniences that we have now. So we have someone coming in from Florida to do that training for us. More information will be on our website as well. And for our annual camp meeting, we're going to have Barbara O'Neill there once again. And this is from June 25 to 29th of this year. Then in the month of July, we're going to have a children medical missionary training, which is from an early age to get our young children abreast to principles of health, natural remedy, things they could do for themselves to keep their body in optimal shape. And then in September, we'll do the same thing for the adults. So these are some of the activities we have coming up. And if you're interested in any of our wellness retreat programs, these are the dates and sessions that we have for this year. This one has been adjusted. It ends on June 1st. And I think everything else remains the same if you want to be a health guest for one of our upcoming sessions. Thank you all for your time. And I think we might have some announcements now from Corrine, if she's around.